Today I want to talk about JT Tuimoloau, who is going to watch a couple of his finalists play in the national championship game on Monday. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, want to talk about the nation's #1 defensive tackle out of Sammamish East Side Catholic in Washington, JT Tuimoloau. This is a man who is highly coveted and probably the most highly coveted uncommitted prospect left on the board. And there is no guarantee that his recruiting will end on signing day. We saw this last year with Jordan Burch. We saw it even more with Zach Evans, who ends up at Texas Christian, hoping he has an outstanding career for them. Also, shout out to Texas Christian. Trayvon Moehrig won the Jim Thorpe Award, the first player in the Big 12 to win it since 2006 when Aaron Ross did at Texas. Okay, so the thing about Tuimoloau that I find to be interesting is that really at the top of the list are Alabama, Ohio State, and SC. Yes, Oregon and Washington are in there, and Washington really would love to have Tuimoloau, but after watching Egbuka leave and commit to Ohio State, they got Sam Heward coming in. That ought to make people feel good, but it doesn't feel like Washington is going to be able to compete with the likes of the power in college football, Alabama, and a rising power in Ohio State. After Urban Meyer compared Ryan Day to Nick Saban, you can see how this is already getting to a place to where the outcome of this national championship game could tell you a lot about what Tuimoloau is thinking. That said, crystal balls have him headed to Ohio State, and I think really it's about Nick Saban and how he's been able to close in recruiting. That could tell the difference, but he had some interesting things to say to 247, among them to Ohio State coach about Ohio State defensive line coach Larry Johnson. Has a history with him, and he has a long tradition of putting people in the league. He knows what he's doing and talking about. Talking to Coach Day, we have built a strong bond, and I like both of them. Coach Johnson is considered the top of what he's doing, and he has a history, and I've been able to watch. Now, Alabama, Nick Saban, Freddie Roach said similar things, loves the culture of Bama, and the thing about Alabama is that it is an assembly line for pros. However, Ohio State has been an assembly line for defensive linemen in particular. Chase Young is all you got to see coming out of there, but you can go to either Bosa brother, Nick or Joey. You can look at what Draymond Jones was doing. You can look at how people are viewing Jonathan Cooper right now, or how they're viewing Haskell Garrett right now, or Tommy Togiai right now. So I think there's a lot for him to like on both of those. And if Ohio State has been the person that you are leaning closest to, the school you're leaning closest to, why not give them a look? As it pertains to recruiting at large, SC has 1 5-star in the boat in Corey Foreman. You add a second on the defensive line, and all of a sudden, you're not just competing for the Pac-12 championship anymore. You have a chance to be as talented as anybody on the defensive line front and challenge on a national level, possibly in a college football playoff situation. Then you look at Alabama, who's got 7 5-stars in the boat among 26 commits with a score of over 323. Ohio State is about 10 points behind, but also got a bunch of 5-stars in the boat. Being able to add to either one of those is just making the rich richer. But I think the way that SC has been able to recruit, particularly with Vic Soto, you can't count them out because there are dudes that want a reason to go to SC. They want to know that, one, they're going to be developed, and two, they're going to have chances to play for national championships and really get back to doing what SC was doing in the early aughts when Pete Carroll was head coach, Steve Sarkisian was on staff, and Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush were winning Heisman trophies, to say nothing of the kind of defensive talent that came out of there. I mean, at one point, USC had Ray Malaluga, Brian Cushing, and Clay Matthews. Troy Polamalu played there. I mean, you can really go deep on the tradition and the pros and the legends that come out of SC. And if you're from the West Coast, it's really difficult to overlook SC. You would like to think that it's really difficult to overlook an in-state recruiting, it's not power, competitor in Washington, right? Like Jimmy Lake, I think, is getting that defense going in the right direction. They won the Pac-12 North Division, even though they did not get to play in the Pac-12 Championship, which is bonkers. They're headed in the right direction. I think if Heward is the starter next year, you're going to get 3 years of really great football out of him. And I think you're really quarterback away. When they had Jake Browning, they were good. Dylan Morris throwing picks ain't going to do it for me, but perhaps a Heward there to push him helps you. But on the defensive side, you know that Jimmy Lake's been able to produce there too, particularly at defensive back on and on the defensive line. So any one of these, including Oregon for that matter, are all good options for one of the best players in college football. But I really think that the two teams playing for the national championship are going to get the most of his attention, because if you know that you can be developed into a first-round NFL draft pick at either or any of the 5 schools that you have listed, then why not go play for the one where you're going to get the best opportunity to win a national championship? Now, Ohio State, I think, is going to be there for years to come, but Alabama has proven they're going to be there year after year after year after year, no matter who the coaches are, no matter what the personnel is, because the personnel is always going to be great, and Nick Saban is its head coach. He has had a rotating door of assistants, both as defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, and the more he just solidifies his legend at Alabama, especially if he's able to win the national championship on Monday, the harder it is to recruit against him. I mean, seeing that Kamar Wheaton was an OU lean for so long and then ends up committing to Alabama should tell you a lot. The way that he's been able to swoop in and get guys that feel like they have built relationships with other schools for years, because he knows what they need to hear, he knows what to sell them on, and he has tremendous amount of receipts going. Not only will you play for championships, we will sweep positional awards. We will put you in a position to be the best player in the country, and we will get you to the NFL in short order. It's a lot to take in. All right, that's it for me. Doses.